Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Karen Marsdale, President, Greater Reading Chamber of Commerce, and we're here for another spotlight on a wonderful chamber member. And I'm thrilled today to have a friend, Dave Kendall, who's co-owner of Comfort Keepers, as you can see from our signage here in the front. And Dave, welcome, and we're going to have a great conversation.
Well, thanks. I'm equally thrilled to be here with you, Karen.
Well, it's just great. We've had lots of conversations over the years, and you know, you're in a business that can be challenging,
and yet very rewarding.
But what I was going to say is so rewarding because you're giving that rewarding feeling of knowing that you're doing the right thing for the person who's being cared for, and perhaps their family that becomes very concerned on how to navigate this process. So tell me how you got into this business.
Wow, going back now almost 16 years that
That's
I
not
got into
long.
this business. Yeah, not too terribly long. I had always been in senior services, had been in home medical equipment with Reading Hospitals, a
Okay.
company SurgiMed, and prior to that TAM-Dot over on Penn Avenue in West Reading. And through evolution, I just was looking for something different to do. And this company had been in operation for about a year and lost one of their original members.
Okay.
So we kind of test drove one another, and long story short, it was just an ideal fit, and I really stepped into a perfect fit for me with Comfort Keepers almost 16 years ago.
Well, you've got a great reputation. You've got super people, and it's all about the people, I'm sure.
It truly is.
I mean, it has to be the processes, and it has to be, you know, the level of care and the level of what you do. But you've got great people behind you, and I know that you're co-owner. You've got another partner,
Jen Mish.
Jen Mish, who's a great person as well. So give me a little idea, because I know that so oftentimes, and you know, we're probably talking to a really good audience, because not only is this viewed by our chamber members, but you know, obviously adults, and as we adults age, we find ourselves, as I did, oftentimes we're caught in the middle, and we're working adults, people are working longer, they've got perhaps parents, or they've got an aunt or an uncle or another loved one that really needs some help from them.
Right.
And yet they aren't versed in where do I go for that help and who has what type of help. And they're just needing that sort of that special expertise at a time when sometimes it can be really challenging.
Right. Well, you kind of hit it on the head. There's not a lot of consumerism when it comes to planning for senior care.
It's a good way to put it.
And most of us, or most folks, get thrust into a scenario because of some healthcare incident, or something happens.
Right.
Maybe a primary family caregiver who's been doing it all becomes ill.
Right.
There's the whole host of reasons that people end up contacting Comfort Keepers or seeking out a solution. And I know you're aware that we do an awful lot of education in the community.
Which is great, because
through
the
the
more
aging parent fairs, and that's one of the things we really pride ourselves in, not just doing the service, but trying to be proactive and helping families understand what the options are. And when we have those programs, it's not just about Comfort Keepers.
Right.
We really
No, it
partner
isn't.
with an awful lot of our partners
Right.
in the community. I always tell families when I meet with them that it takes a whole host of folks. It takes a village to serve a senior.
It
so
does.
we're not the only piece, but we're a good chunk of the pie.
Right.
And they lean on us, and having been part of the Berks Elder Network and kind of fostering that along for almost the entirety of the time that I've been with Comfort Keepers, I just know the other services in the community, so we spend a lot of time cross-referring and bringing other solutions to the table to round things out, so that seniors can be well served at home and they can feel good about things. They
Exactly.
have the highest level of independence and the greatest quality of life. That's kind of our mission statement in a nutshell.
And that, excuse me, Dave, is really true, because I know that statistics will validate the fact that for people able to stay in their home with the help of services like Comfort Keepers is really the highest quality of care, as opposed to jumping into something else immediately before you need to think about that, or have that as a progression. But what do you see the statistics? Because I know you're in this all the time, and you're I'm sure looking at because we talk about in the business community about the baby boomers who are aging out of the workplace and what that's doing in terms of where we look forward with workforce.
Right.
And but then that means as people are aging, then there's another whole strata of challenges of living alone, living safely alone. What does it look like for the future in terms of where we're at as Americans?
Wow. Well, big question, Karen.
Big question.
Well,
get prepared.
Everything points to the fact there's going to be more seniors.
Sure.
So the volume of people that are going to require assistance is just simply going to grow exponentially. We're all living longer. Mm-hmm. You can ask the insurance companies; we're extending out, and to a reasonable extent, we're living longer with quality of life. But we're also extending our life to a point where we're almost all going to need some element of support to be successful. Right. In our own homes, and that's where people want to stay. Nobody wants to be displaced from their home. So home care is certainly the first barrier to having to go elsewhere. And most often we can support someone effectively in their home for a really long time, if not forever, and at a much more favorable cost than going into facility-based care.
Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about exactly what services you would offer, and what then you do, as you talked about, and I know you do have these great partnerships of education, so that people are really prepared and understand where they need to go, or the differences between certain agencies, et cetera. So let's talk about that.
Okay, well, kind of the broad paintbrush of things that Comfort Keepers do. I can tell you our style of caregiving, the overarching concept is interactive caregiving. We've kind of coined that term. Mm-hmm. And we feel it's important for seniors to have control over every element of their world that they can control. Mm-hmm. Because typically they're not as mobile as they might have been, or they've got some cognitive challenges. Their minds don't function the way they once did, so they have some challenges. And if we can include them in what we're doing for them, it makes them feel much better and much more included in their environment. So that's an overarching concept, but we'll do everything from all of the homemaker things, whether it's nutrition, home exercise, making sure that they get groceries into the home, transport them to personal and professional appointments, all those things. And then we do personal care also. So if they need standby assistance, direct hands-on care, or fully dependent for bathing and dressing and incontinent care, and folks that maybe are challenged with Alzheimer's or some other form of dementia, and they need some supervision in the home, we can provide that. So it's really a broad range of services that we provide to keep people in their homes.
And I will tell you that I have a friend who I think you are, who's a client, and that's a situation where Dad is still there, but Mom is the one that does have Alzheimer's and needs the help. Right. And so it's been a great, because there would never be a way.
He needs a break in the action.
Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. We're sort of running out of time, but so then if there's for example, dispensing of medications and those types of things, are you able to do that for a patient, a client, or not?
We can do medication reminders, and in some instances, just now the laws have changed where we're developing procedures and processes and plans to be able to assist people a little bit more hands-on, but it's really dependent on the individual. So it's on a case-by-case basis that we're going to be able to do some of these specialized, expanded services. Right. Because the state's starting to realize that if we want to keep people home, we need to untie the hands and allow people to do things that are appropriate and safe.
Right, and that's I think only it doesn't take necessarily someone who's a medical physician to do that, but it takes, if I could go in and do my mother's medication, I think a caregiver could do that too, in terms of, making sure that it was taken.
If they're properly trained.
If they're trained. So, just that one little other step can be so beneficial. So, well, thank you, Dave. I mean, I would just absolutely say this is one of the best facilities that you could reach out to in Berks County. Your people, your reputation is stellar. And
well, we appreciate your vote of confidence.
Well,
and certainly of all the people in Berks County, you know, Reading Eagle just had their Reader's Choice Awards, and we won Best In-Home Senior Care for the fourth year in a row, and we were just notified of that. So
that is so
that's
cool.
That's pretty exciting for us,
Congratulations.
and we're real proud of that.
Well, you know what? You've worked hard for that. So, so you deserve it.
Thank you for your kind words.
But, well, thanks for being here, Dave. Thank you again for being a part of our chamber and for just, you know, spending some time with me today and talking about what you do, because it's just great work.
Thanks so much, Karen, for having me.
You are welcome.
You bet.